Jay's perspective. You already know what we're getting into, ladies and gentlemen. It is Hall of Fame recap. Game is back. Football is back. We've had training camp. We've had the Hall of Fame game. And wow, 30-47. No starters, backups. It was like, wow. However, I'm just glad we got football back because it was slow in the beginning. I guess they have to knock the rust off, knock the dust off, get back to the feeling of it. But it's back. So the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers will beat the Detroit Lions on Thursday night's football. And our stat leaders would be quarterback Trey Lance would go 13 of 20 for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. One to Will Disley and one to rookie Keandre Lambert Smith. Trey Lance, it was a shock to see. And I had heard on X that would be the starter. And I was wondering, man, okay, Harbaugh is doing something different. But the young man has been out the limelight for a minute. Drafted by the 49ers, third overall. Then traded to Dallas, and now with the Chargers. And he would look, after settling in, more comfortable delivering the ball. Right? He didn't turn it over, and he didn't, I guess, try to do too much. But it's preseason, guys. So running back Kimani Vidal had 2 rushing touchdowns, 37 yards on limited carries, efficient and physical. So Najee wasn't playing, so this guy got his time to shine and 2 touchdowns. When they got down in the red zone, the Chargers were determined to get in there. And I mean, they got in there because the score lets you know that they were in there. Now, the defense, they forced 5 turnovers. Key picks by Nico Reed and Tony Jefferson. Miles Purchase. Also, excuse me, Miles Purchase, plus the multiple fumbles recovered. Detroit had the fumble on the opening kickoff. And then it was another fumble in there. I was like, whoa, plus the turnovers. Now, there was no golf. Henderson Hooker didn't start. It was Davis, with Kyle Allen, who started for the Lions. And he respectable kind of guy, been around the league a while, but this wasn't the answer. Dan Campbell definitely has some questions he's going to get answered to. Now, kicker Cameron Dicker the kicker, added 2 field goals. He missed a 52-yarder to help tally the points. So one team looked at their offensive scheme, meaning the Chargers, and they can now look around and did good. Wow, we're all looking at Detroit like, okay. However, like I said, it's preseason, but you want to still put up some fight. Now, the Lions, Detroit quarterbacking Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker, ineffective, combined 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, losses on those fumbles, and only 1 touchdown scored via Craig Reynolds on a 5-yard run. So they were able to get the ball. They were able to move the ball down the field, and it wasn't a pretty execution. However, they were able to get it in with Craig Reynolds. Me and my oldest son was watching it, and I went to look up who Reynolds is because we thinking maybe it's the other Reynolds, but it's not. However, That total offense, a miserable 197 yards. Not enough firepower to even threaten the Chargers. Oh, I know it's football. I know it's preseason. I know it's the kickoff. But yet and still, that was just horrible, guys. Detroit, what? All right. The opening chaos, guys. I'm going to call some key moments out. The opening chaos. Lions returner Grant Stewart fumbled the kickoff. Caleb Murphy of the Chargers stripped it, and they scored quickly off of that turnover. That was the difference because they were down, and then the next play they was down in the end zone again, and it was the running. Okay, then after they scored, they kicked the ball back off. Right now, early interception by Kyle Allen. Um, he literally threw the ball and ball jumped around. Right, it looked like it was going straight to him. He almost had it returned for 8-6, but it was brought down 60 yards by a rookie. So that interception didn't turn around and set the Chargers in the red zone for a easy score on 14-0. And I was like, okay, now it's time to warm up, Detroit. That Trey Lance would get the ball back. Fourth down strike. A fourth down strike, guys. This guy, like I said, once he kind of settled in and was kind of getting to the point. However, the Chargers converted 4th and 2 on a play action bootleg to Will Disley, the tight end, for a 5-yard score, setting the tone early. What we seen from Dan Campbell, Motor City Dan, Mr. I go for it on 4th. Jim Harbaugh pulled that same play. And I remember looking at him like, oh, they got to get it. Because if they don't get this, and he did get it because you put your quarterback in a good position to execute what you needed to get done. And Trey Lance was effective. Like I said, it wasn't too bad on the Chargers side of the ball. A few missed opportunities. They got some questions. And I heard they even bringing back Keenan Allen, maybe, possibly. Well, stay tuned with that. All right, the Chargers pulled away, and it just was a slow death. Now, the Chargers added a field goal. Defense stripped the ball to cruise. So, you're already trying to get some kind of rhythm going. And it seemed like the turnovers. It's like, what are we doing here? And I know Detroit is only preseason, first game. However, I know you're not good with this one. Come on, guys. All right, now the clutch breakdown, folks, is the Chargers opportunity. oppor- Chargers had the opportunity and showed real good efficiency as Trey Lance looked sharp and confident as he jumped into quarterback competition. That defense imposed the tone from the jump with the turnovers and the strong field position. Now, it's Vidal's short bursts and discipline on the goal line were impressive. Now, it you want, like I said when I was covering on the Patriot Blitz, you want to make sure that every quarterback on your roster, every backup guy in the roster has an opportunity to show so that when something does happen, then Well, we got a bridge till the guy comes back, or worst case, we got another key piece to keep the momentum going. Now the line's flat. All three phases. Special teams suck. Quarterback play godly. 5 turnovers is a disaster. In preseason or otherwise, this cannot happen. Now, the quarterbacks looked overwhelmed for Detroit. I'm serious. Kyle Allen did not look comfortable, and Detroit offered no resistance. After the first quarter, they were just playing. Now, the Chargers have serious depth and playmakers behind Justin Herbert and Trey Lance. Could make his case this year. The Chargers and their defense, along with their special teams, made it look easy. It just looked easy. So imagine, man. Whew, that was a good one. But the Lions, they're going to need some answers, folks. I mean, seriously, the quarterback and special teams urgently, even in a tune-up game. This performance was a misstep. Roster hopefuls like Ahmad, what is his name? Hassani and Dominic Lovett had small bright spots, but the overall execution stunk. The Lions stunk the place up, guys. It was not pretty. Chargers, 34 points, five forced turnovers. Lance, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Vidal, 2 rushing touchdowns. The Lions just scored 7 points, so they turned the ball over 5 times, and it was 197 total yards of offense. Quarterback play was terrible. Now, I'm gonna talk my stuff, but I'm glad football is back. We are getting back into the swing. I mean, it's horrible. 34-7 was horrible. However, the Chargers have potential, especially in the AFC West. And seeing the execution, I can only imagine with their starters and the key additions, and probably even bringing in some bringing back Keenan Allen, possibly. The Chargers look poised to make a run in that West. Now, Detroit, I ain't gonna panic, but it doesn't look good. Dan Campbell even said it was just horrible. However, I'm quite sure that this is going to be in the back of their minds. They're going to talk about it, and they're going to get ready for the next game that's going to be coming up, guys. Overall, I'm glad football's back. The Chargers look good. We're not going to panic about the Detroit Lions because Kyle Allen, I really wouldn't have sold. However, Hendon Hooker, rookie. So it's going to be a nice year for the Detroit Lions, especially in that NFC North, Green Bay, Minnesota, possibly the Bears. Possibly the Bears. We're going to leave that alone. However, this is going to conclude the first game, the kickoff game, the Hall of Fame game, 34-7. Los Angeles Chargers dominate those Detroit Lions, and man, thank God football back, y'all. I thank y'all for coming through. I thank y'all for staying tuned. Hey, like, subscribe, comment. Go check us out on Clutch CSM365 on X. Also, follow us on Swell as well. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned and stay clutch. I'm your host, Jay's Perspective, and we are what? Out here.